Is this a recording? It is recording. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Alive, my search for the best ways to live. Sorry about that. My name is Jiggy Jr., and our guest today is the athletic director of Ateneo de Cebu. He's also a sports columnist of the Freeman Bleacher Talk, and he's involved in so many sports programs in Cebu. Rico Navarro. Hi, Rico.
Hi, Jiggy, and thank you for having me. It's good to be here, and maayong adlaw sa tanan.
Rico, you're the athletic sports director of Ateneo de Cebu. Tell us about what's going on with the sports program of the school. What is going on? Are the students, are the athletes of the school still practicing? Are you still in touch? Tell us what's going on.
Well, first, the good news, I still have my job. That I can confirm. No, but the idea for the whole summer, since April and the lockdown, is that we have to be relevant. We thought that we need to do things. And so the teams, well, pivoted. All our teams are now practicing online. And that started as early as around the second or third week of April. So again, it was all a matter of trial and error. People started using Zoom. People started using Google Meet and even the messenger room. So they used a platform that they knew could help them. And there they were, slowly but surely, they learned the ropes. Even, I mean, our coaches, Jiggy, are not necessarily the most techiest, savviest, no, of all people. So everybody had to learn, everybody had to adapt. And so far, so good. It's been a successful run so far, and we've been running that since April for all our teams. So fortunately, the kids are still staying in shape.
School sports into the CoronaVerse. Incidentally, that's also the title of the show. How are the kids adjusting with this whole new world that we are experiencing? How are they adjusting to not being able to see each other physically? How are they adjusting to not being able to practice on the basketball court, on the football field? You know, wherever they're supposed to practice, they can't do it physically, at least not just yet. How are they adjusting, Rico? And how are you keeping them in shape?
No, that has been tough, obviously. Now, I mean, at the start, when you talk about March 14, the lockdown date, no, between March 14 and April 14, everybody was just caught flat-footed. Everybody was caught stranded, and they didn't know what to do. And part of this jig, remember, you have to keep in mind they're teenagers. We also had to look, in fact, into mental health issues of the teenagers. So we had to take care of that as well. Now, when things adjusted, when we went online, they started to slowly but surely regain, no? Regain their pose, regain their ground, get back into shape. And the nice thing about online training now, Jiggy, is that there's also, although it's individual, there is also what you call the team component part, because you get to see each other, you get to talk to each other. And with that, they've been able to recover. I'd like to say, for instance, one of the biggest helps to all right now as they adjusted to the whole, to this pandemic thing is one thing that they've never done before. We're now doing at least once a week kumustahan sessions. So if the teams practice, 3 to 4 times a week, one of those sessions, they're not practicing. They're just sitting down and talking to each other. And that was the advice of one of our sports psychologists who told us, just let the kids talk. Just let the kids let it out, air whatever they feel, so that they know that somebody is listening to them, whether it be their coach or their teammates. And something that we also been doing, been very successful, is inviting guests now to give talks to our team. So in the past, we've had 30 Ravenna, Isaac Go, Eman Monfort, Kim Montabo. Just last week, we had Nash Rosella talking to us. The pandemic has been an excellent way to also get in touch with our idols now out there. And they also visit us during practice. So that was the adjustment that the kids have been making. And it's a very happy adjustment for them. They're very happy with that.
You know, sports has always been a microcosm of life. You lose, you win, you get injured, you make a comeback, you're down big, and then you make a comeback. You know all these things that happen in sports happens in life. Now, what is going on in sports now is when there's no actual playing happening. There's no tournament happening right now. Uh, you were talking about talking to each other, the psychology of it, but doesn't that sort of what is the word that we should use? depress a lot of players, not just in basketball, football, any sports for that matter, knowing that they're not going to be able to play for a long, long time?
So Turji, but what we've had to do so far, actually, a large part of the start of the pivoting, we had to do a lot of counseling. A lot of kids were depressed. That's true because they couldn't get the chance to play at all. And remember, practices just ended abruptly. It wasn't like it was announced. It would have been okay if we had an advance warning. Oh, by next week we're going to stop practice. But this was tough because I remember that March 14 and March 15, the kids were actually on the field already, ready to practice. When we got the instruction, get everybody home, clear the campus, let's follow the protocol. And that wasn't only it. Remember, you had graduation scheduled, you had a prom canceled, and all that. So the well, I hate to say the word depression, but let's just say people getting depressed, yes, had to be counseled. Now, remember, what is the better alternative to counseling them than getting them physically active and talking to their classmates or teammates? So that by itself, by being physically active, working out, doing a routine and getting busy, and getting a chance to talk to their teammates online, that itself was actually that was a good solution. We listened to the sports psychologists, we listened to the guidance counselors, and they said that's a perfect thing to do because one thing that you must set up would be keeping in touch with all the close friends and the close teammates, with their coaches, and even with the relatives. And so far, so good. We're happy with the turnout and how it's gone for the past 3 or 4 months already.
So you have been counseling all of the students, whether they feel anything or not, or is it just on a per case basis? How does it work?
Well, yeah, it's on a case to case basis. You get to the coaches themselves. In Sacred Heart, sorry, I have to use a technical term. It's called cura personalis. It's care for the
Mm-hmm.
person, and our coaches have been trained to. Again, remember, sports, like you said, is a microcosm of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all about sports that we're here for.
Of course.
Sports, yes, is there, but we're there to also help mold character. We're there to help mold personality, and that's where the counseling comes in. We remind them, hey, sports is not all about the physicality about it, but there's the other coin of it, and that's what we're here for, to help you out. And fortunately, the kids have been adjusting and responding, no, positively to all this. They're cracking a lot of jokes now. It's just like you just got together, but you're not seeing each other. Okay, so that I know it's kind of tough, but the adjustment has been made already, and now they're getting used, no, to what 3 to 4 times a week Zoom sessions, including a kamustahan. And I've been in a birthday party, a virtual birthday party where they've actually blown candles. Of course, the mother of the celebrator brought a cake over, and we were all there just to sing the happy birthday song and all that. So this kind of things, the kids and the coaches have been very creative to find ways to really cook things up now online.
Let's go back to the microcosm of
Sure.
life, because sports is such a mirror image of life. Um, Playing sports again is also sort of like a triumph, right? A triumph, not necessarily to beat the odds, which is sort of still in the peaking phase right now as far as COVID-19 goes, or we're still trying to figure that out. But eventually, we will have to go back to playing sports, right? What are the programs? What are the activities that Cebu, not just in the school, but Cebu City in general, or just the entire Metro Cebu? What are we doing to restart the sports events, the sports programs of the schools, the colleges, and the universities, or if not semi-professional or professional sports? Are we doing anything in that regard? And what are these things that we're doing?
Okay, on the college level, or rather school-based level, so people are continuing to practice online. So that's good news. Now, I have better news now, Jiggy, because here online, people have already started to have competitions online, believe it or not.
How?
Okay. I'll give you an example. Dance sport. We've won a lot of, remember, a lot of gold medals in dance sport competitions here and abroad. Dance sport recently had an international competition, and this is the interesting story. The winner of the competition was in the lockdown in Alaska, Mambaling. while Alaska Mambaling was on lockdown. It was held via Zoom internationally. So Europe, then of course the odds favored Europe because it was held at, for us, it was around 12 midnight to 3 a.m., which was daytime or afternoon in Europe. So simple. They play the song or the music over Zoom and you dance just like any other dance sport competition. And the funny thing, they were there dancing in the, you could imagine Alaska Mambaling, that small place in there, and they won. They won the gold medal uh, in that event. It was actually a husband and wife pair. That's why they were allowed. Now, to well, the distancing concern, of course, might come up. So they won that one, and since then on, they've been having that. Taekwondo, we also joined, and we've won in an international Taekwondo Pomse competition. The concept is, remember, the Pomse competition is more form than sparring. Okay, so what they do, the mechanics of that would be, it's not live. You record yourself doing your Pomse routine. And you can have as many takes as possible. Take one, take two. Then you look for your best routine. Then you send that video to the organizers or the federation that handles it. Then on one night, okay, on one night, over YouTube or Facebook Live, the Taekwondo Federation airs all those videos that they collected, and judging takes place. Because remember, in Taekwondo, it's just like judging a dance. A dance. They judge and you win. So many people have pivoted online. Chess has been played online. Heidelin Diaz won a gold medal in weightlifting, in an online weightlifting. So again, the tough part here would be the physical sports, the team sports like football and basketball, but they haven't gotten there yet. But things are being planned now for online competitions in those sports, but most likely skills based. You can imagine football. You could do an online juggling contest. Okay, the many touches of the ball, the most number of touches wins. You can do, remember, headers though. So people are being creative right now. They're thinking of other ways for online competitions. Of course, I don't need to. I mean, needless to say, esports has grown just like anything. Okay, esports. In fact, the Philippine team sent an Agilas esport team to a FIBA. This is a world thing. Huh? It's a World FIBA World Cup for esports, and we've won our first our first two series already against Indonesia. So people are pivoting, not the physical thing, but they're competing online.
Of course, you can play sports, especially if it's individual sports or skills based, but not full contact sports. In fact, you can even play contact sports if necessary. And in some parts of the world, they've already started, for example, the NBA. But what happens to the athletes? I'm sure you're aware of this. Uh, in a event that has nobody watching, in a football field, you usually have a crowd of, your friends, your family, and all that stuff cheering you on, and all that stuff. So, with absent that, doesn't that sort of change the way they play a particular game?
Yes, definitely, especially for the home team. And that's why in the NBA bubble, all the teams that are seeded seventh, eighth, or ninth, fighting for the eighth seed, are okay to stay at six, seven, or eight because there's no such thing as a home court advantage anymore in the playoffs. They just go
Yeah,
ahead play a 7 game series, and
yeah.
the only home court definition there would be the light jersey and the virtual crowd at the back. So again, that takes away. So here, it really levels the playing field, and this is where I believe that even the 6, 7, 8 has as much chances to beat number one and two, precisely because of that the lack or the absence of a home court crowd.
So, any plans of restarting basketball in Cebu?
That's tough. That's very tough because right now, are we willing to spend the way the NBA is spending and do it in a bubble type? And even I had chats with Attorney Rebo Sagisag of the UAAP. He himself said that that is almost an impossible thing to do in the Philippines, especially for those with more than 8 to 10 teams. We're in the Philippines, really put them together in a bubble. But there is good news, okay? And there's good news. The 3x3 Professional League, the Chooks to Go 3x3 Professional League, they plan to start in September. Now they will go to a bubble. They will actually go to Inspire Academy. It's a world-class facility that has, of course, world-class sports facilities plus a hotel and a restaurant. And the advantage of 3x3 is you only have 4 players per team. So it is not that expensive to a certain extent to house 12 teams in one hotel and one bubble, and they practice health protocols like testing, regular testing. Of course, they all stay there for the entire tournament because in 3x3 jig, you don't play for a long time. The 3x3 tournaments last for only 2 days. You play elimination round on the first day. On day two, you play the finals. Then they'll probably register or go to the bubble 3 or 4 days before that, have a few practice sessions after testing is done, and then they play. So the 3x3 actually looks more, shall we say, potentially more successful, no, than the PBA or professional football for that matter. So I'm really excited to look forward to that right now. Boxing also, there are talks already of a September event here in Cebu. The idea is you bring to what bubble are we talking about? You bring it to the boxing gyms of it's Omega or Ala. But the thing is, you have to have all the boxers stay there for what? I'm guessing 21 to a whole month before the event. Then they can leave after the event. But the key is there will be testing, there's distancing, and they stay in the bubble and don't leave the bubble at all. No, for safety concerns, obviously.
You know, it must be psychologically difficult. Sang, you're playing basketball, you're boxing, for example, and then you have all these things going through your mind. What if I catch COVID from this guy? You know, once this tournament is done, I have to go back and expose myself to family and friends and all that stuff. It there must be some sort of hesitation for the athletes. How do you condition athletes to not worry about COVID-19?
Oh, but that's where mental toughness comes in. Because even at the highest level in the NBA, there are, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5 players who refused to play and join the bubble or to join the
Correct, yeah.
restart. And they were allowed. It wasn't taken against them by the team or the league. And that's why J.R. Smith is there playing for the Lakers. Okay?
I know Avery Bradley's not playing, right?
Yes. But these are things you have to deal with. So my guess is there will be, for every 10 players, there will be 1 or 2 who will not even play at all, who will even ask permission, may I not play at all. And it's all about mental toughness right now. And of course, the organizers assuring that health protocols are going to be maintained. And that's where here in the Philippines, I'm not sure if we can do that. Anywhere in the Philippines, except for the Chooks to go 3x3 bubble that they'll be experimenting with.
I'm not just talking about basketball, Rico. I'm talking
Yes,
about the
yes,
boxing
true.
event that they're planning. How do you teach an athlete to be mentally tough uh, for something like the anxiety of catching COVID-19, which is real, and it's real and it's there and it's a possibility. You know what I mean? So do you have
Yes, yes,
psychologists who can
yes.
prep boxers, for example, not to worry about COVID-19?
Well, it becomes a mental game. Okay, it becomes a mental game. That's true. Sports psychology comes in, and the crucial thing there, I think, would be the sports psychologists and the coaches working the mental part of the boxers or all the players, and number one, assuring them that everything is going to be okay because of all the protocols that are being implemented, the health protocols. No, and you showed it. I mean, you'll be doing testing something like every 2 days. You'll be wearing face masks. In boxing, everybody will wear face masks except for the boxers, obviously. And then everybody will spaced out. There will be no audience. If you can work on that mentally speaking, the boxers will be fine. And the boxers themselves know that, I mean, they're making a living for themselves and they too know how to deal with it. Of course, the toughest ones will go on. The not so tough ones will just ask to be excused and say, I'm okay. I won't play for now.
But I guess if you're at that level of fitness, I guess you may catch COVID, but you're probably going to be either asymptomatic or your symptoms are probably not going to be that hard, right?
Yes, and well, for the record, all the athletes who were actually who tested positive, 100%, everybody was fine,
Yeah,
asymptomatic, and they came back fine. They recovered, in fact, really quickly after 4 to 5 days.
because of their level of fitness, right? And
Yes,
their lifestyle.
and their immunity systems are really solid.
Yeah, yeah. Rico, we're gonna go back to COVID-19 and
Sure.
what it has done to sports. But from what I understand, there's so much commotion, there's so much going on now in spite of the pandemic, as far as uh, basketball goes in the local and national scene.
Yes.
Tell us about what we talked about in briefly earlier, the poaching that's going on. What's going on right now
Well,
as far as basketball recruiting goes?
very good question. The the trigger point, of course, would be the canceling of the Sasafi season. So that was announced. So when that was announced, the Manila recruiters, it was like a switch on for them. Okay, the green light switched on, and they contacted all their contacts, all the parents of all these players, and started recruiting. It's like off-season recruiting for them. For the record, we don't even know when the UAAP or NCAA will resume. But the fun thing about the Manila teams, and I don't know where they get the money, but they have resources now to offer players here. So what has happened so far? We already have in Cebu around 3 players in the high school division who are switching teams. So it's called switching in mid-career. When I say mid-career, it's while you're high school, you're switching teams within high school. For college, there are 2 well-known UV players who are traveling to Manila. Again, they're going to leave UV behind and traveling to Manila. So again, switching in mid-career. So that, I mean, it's for their own good. Actually, I myself, I welcome that because it's for their own good, and they have to and they move. It's really a career decision that they're making. But a number of things just bother me because number one, why do you want to? I mean, they're leaving grade 11, they're going grade 12. I always ask, can you not want to finish your grade 12 in the school that has taken care of you for the past, I don't know what, 5 to 6 years? Or in some cases, they've been there since grade school pa. Okay.
So these are not rumors; these are actually happening
This
right now.
this
They've
this
already
are
been recruited.
they've been recruited. The media has reported the news, and they're out there. And of course, there are 2 sides of it. Many people are criticizing the Sasafi for not holding on to their players, which is okay from the sports perspective. However, what they don't see, the other side, is that for the Sasafi right now, the schools are bleeding. And right now, sports, I hate to say it, but is not exactly priority, no, on the sides of schools. No? So the schools are worried about the coming online education. The schools are worried about training their teachers. But more importantly, what's really bothering them now is the fact that there's a forecast, and they're feeling it already, 30 or 20 to 30% drop in enrollment. So that's going to be a very big concern right now. So
I can
the
imagine.
recruitment, yeah, the recruitment is going on right now as we speak, and will continue to do so all year round. Because remember, everybody's doing online education, so technically you can transfer schools at any time of the school year, give
Rico,
or take. Yeah.
Rico, you mentioned that sports is not really going to be a priority now because we're still trying to figure out how to teach our kids and use technology instead of having them in the classroom and all that stuff. But this coronavirus pandemic is a health emergency, right?
Yes.
This is an emergency that is attacking everyone's health, and I think if you, like an athlete, is very healthy at a top of his shape, always exercising, always eating the right food, always training, they have this very high level of immunity, right? They have this high level of fitness. Now, um, we have COVID-19 protocols, like wash your hands, um, you know, wear a mask, a social distancing and all that stuff. But I think lost in the conversation, we actually had this conversation with Dr. Karen Woolbright a few weeks ago. Lost in the conversation is the fitness level of a person, because the more fit the person is, the less likely that he will catch COVID-19, or if he does, he will be either asymptomatic or his symptoms will be very, very, uh, you know, will not be discernible. So how about incorporating, sports activities, exercise activities more than the usual PE? Because I know that it's just PE, right? Physical
Yes.
education
Yes.
that everyone has to participate in. It's like 1 hour a day or something like that, right? And I don't think, that is enough. I think the physical education program of any school is not enough to reach a level of fitness that would be similar to an athlete. What are your thoughts on that, Rico? That this is a health emergency, and I think what we need to do is elevate our fitness programs of every school so that when they do go back to school, when they go back to the real world, they'll be more. The word isn't immune, but they'll be healthier than those that are not very healthy in terms of their level of fitness.
I agree with you 101% there, Jake. I mean, uh, like you said, when you're in shape, when you're in better shape, then you're also in better shape to attack COVID or whatever, not even COVID, to attack whatever virus is there. You
Yeah.
catch the flu, catch a cold, and all that. Um, I'd like to cite myself. I don't want to do this, but as an example, lang, no? This COVID has been something else for me because I've never biked or ran so much in my life in the COVID year. I live in Iloan, so I'm running around here. Okay lang.
Uh,
Until I hurt my knees, so I had to stop my jogging. I switched to biking, but the mileage I'm getting now has been the most in my entire life
mhm.
because you know that my sister is a doctor, so and she does her walking and jogging too. So and that's something you have to do now in school. In the train, I've attended many training sessions now for the coming school year, and their advice even is this. Now, number one, limit the screen time of the students for online education. So you will notice right now in many schools that on-screen time, live, something we're doing now, be limited to less than 2 hours. Now, the 18-year-olds, they can handle 2 hours, but less than 18-year-old, put it this way, in kindergarten, they'll do only 30 minutes. Grade school, on 45 minutes. Then on top of that, the schools are now being trained to incorporate any type of physical exercise within the day, every day, and not only during the PE time. And so I'm glad you brought it up. It could be as simple as stretching in the middle of a class or to doing jumping jack in the middle of a class as well. So I really hope that this picks up steam. I'm not sure if you've seen the YouTube video, the PE with Joe Wicks, which
No, no.
it went viral. You should check it out. During the pandemic, Joe Wicks is a popular trainer in Britain, and he put up, and his YouTube channel has gained so many hits and so many views right now. I wish we had somebody like that here who could actually influence so many people because he has influenced even the ordinary people and not the sports buffs. And I'd like to see that in school. I agree with you completely. Schools must have that every day, whether it be a break somewhere in between classes or after or a little bit before. But that's true. Everybody has got to get in better shape more than ever during this pandemic.
Exactly, because this is a health emergency, and I don't think that a PE program of any school is enough to reach a level of fitness that an athlete would. In fact, I think we should train our students like they're athletes, so that
Yes.
they'll get that high level of immunity and high level of fitness that they won't catch COVID. If they do, it's going to be a very uh, like I said, the symptoms will not be very obvious. So I think there's got to be a way to incorporate that because I think when you say that sports is not a priority, maybe not sports, but fitness
Yeah,
has
that's true.
even been. There's no greater time to be fitter than these times, right?
That's true. I think the term, yeah, the term is correct. It may not be sports per se in terms of competition, but it's more of staying fit.
Yeah,
Staying fit to face up to the current situation.
because being fit is of course is about exercising movement, but it's also about dieting. It's also about eating right. It's about taking the right amount of vegetables and fruits and all that stuff. And I don't think they teach that enough in school, and I don't think we remind kids enough in any school program because we're so focused on the academic part.
Yeah, I agree again. Uh, Fitness is more, like you said, than just working out. Fitness is a total package of things. Even up to when I say fitness, Jiggy, we're talking about mental fitness.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's part of the whole thing. You also have to
Mm.
train people with regard to how to stay fit mentally, physically, of course, academically, it's there as well. So it's a total package, and I wish things can be skewed towards that.
Mhm.
Now, like let me share with you now the training sessions that we've had at Secondary School Ateneo de Cebu. When people are now, when you talk about academics, the trend is even in college, no, is going to be what they call decongesting. the curriculum. What does decongesting mean? Stick to the essentials. So if you used to cover chapter 1 to 30, okay, in one, let's say one subject, not everything will be covered now. Only the essentials, let's stick to the essentials. Then you add here all those fitness concerns that you have for the kids. Again, I don't think it's perfect, but I'd like to see it going, no? Going that way.
Maybe that's the only time they have to go to school, when they have to exercise
Okay.
and get fit, right? And everything else they can do online, but they have
Yes,
to go to
yes,
school
yes.
to get fit. Rico, I know that you're also involved in a lot of sports organizations in Cebu. I know you're a part of the football scene. You're also part of the basketball scene. Tell us what everybody's doing these days. What are the coaches doing? What are the athletes doing? And these venues, these stadiums, as basketball courts, as football fields, they have no income whatsoever because nobody's using them and all that stuff. How describe to us the scene?
Well, let's just call it how they're coping. I think that's the best way to describe it, is how
Yeah.
coping. Now, there are only two ways to do this. They're either doing something or they're doing nothing.
Okay.
So if this is my wish right now, then this is what our advocacy has been. And this is not only about our school, but we're talking to coaches and all that. You've got to do something, again, to stay relevant. So a number of things that they're doing right now. Number one, all facilities are closed. There's no working out. The other part about it, my concern more is for the coaches. The coaches, no work, no pay. They don't have coaching jobs. So what we're taking care of right now is how to help them economically speaking. For the schools of Sasafi, many of our coaches, and not only Sacred Heart, but many coaches have been able to avail of a special package, okay, with 3 outfits where they can serve as resellers. So, I mean, I don't want to, can I advertise? No, but they're selling hot dogs.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, the Sasafi coaches are now selling Virginia food hot dogs. They're selling pork chop items, the Virginia Farms pork chop items, and they're selling Bounty Fresh chicken. So the three companies have agreed to help the Sasafi by giving them a package. It's an economic package to help them resell the products so they can stay afloat. Now, aside from that, many coaches have also gone into online selling, and this is what I've been very impressed with so far. They've gone online selling to the point now. I even told them, when this is all over, you might not even decide not to go back to coaching. Why? They're selling the most common things are the essentials. They're selling chorizo, the Cebuano chorizo, Cebu chorizo. They're selling trays, trays of eggs. They're selling essential face masks and all that. And they're successful. Why? Because number one, they were able to build a good relationship with two group of people. Number one, the parents of their kids. Number two, you have the fans, the fans of the Sasafi and the school. So when they hear about, let's say, Coach so and so selling these goods, automatic the fans, the parents will help him or help her, and that's I've been so happy about that right now. So in a way, the coaches also get to help themselves, but they know that they have to do something about it. They just can't do nothing about it. So on top of online practices, they're also selling and earning money. So far so good. You go to Facebook, and I'm so happy to see so many coaches going to online selling. You think that the market will be saturated, but they're not. They're still out there selling. No, everything they can sell from even Coach Javi Bautista is selling portable basketball goals.
Is there any governmental support that's coming your way in terms of the Bayanihan Act, the previous one, and then the one that they're about to pass into law? Is there any governmental support as far as the sports people are concerned?
Do you want me to say a bad word or what? No, unfortunately, no. The coaches have not been part of this whole thing, the
Okay.
SAP and all that. But again, remember, you've always said that sports is a microcosm of life. What does sports
Uh-huh.
teach them? We're resilient.
Mhm.
We're tough. We can adjust. So the coaches have, again, pivoted. They've adjusted. And they're going that way already, whether it's reselling, whether it's getting a new job. It's working out well so far, no, for coaches. That's what I'm very happy about, for the coaches at least.
Watching the NBA going back, on a comeback. um, is such a, the optics of that against a pandemic is beautiful, right? It's like you're trying to beat the odds and trying to defeat a virus and all that stuff. When do you think we will have some sort of a comeback in Cebu sports? They're already trying to do that, and they're already best practices in some parts of the world, in the United States, for example, and I know in Europe they're already playing football, so we can learn from their best practices. When do you think we will have some sort of a comeback? Not just Cebu, but when do you think Philippine sports will make a comeback in terms of playing their most favorite games, like basketball, football, and all that?
Right now, the most realistic thing that could happen would be the 3x3, the Chooks to Go 3x3. It's a professional league, by the way. It's a
Yeah,
pro league that will have a series of legs. Again, they will play in the bubble at the Inspire Academy or Inspire Sports Academy, following the bubble concept. So that is 90% in the bag already. It's just a matter of the ECQ and the GCQ standing in Metro Manila. The other thing which I think is very possible is boxing. The concept again of staging fights in the bubble when you go to the boxing gym or club of a particular stable. Then you have everybody stay there for the number of days it's required to follow health protocol. So if you say you stay there for 14 days plus fight night, then everybody stays there. They eat there. They sleep. They don't sleep together, but they sleep there, and then they go to the actual fight. So I'm looking at 3x3 basketball, then boxing, or any other sport can practice the bubble concept. And like I said, basketball, it's tough. How can you do it? There's no such thing as a Disneyland or a Disney World here in the Philippines where you can do that, unless you could switch the Enchanted Kingdom or
Ramon
the,
Fernandez, when I interviewed him, mentioned
yes.
maybe MOA because there are a lot of hotels around MOA.
Yes, but then again, you just said it, MOA is the mall.
Yeah,
So the general public is there.
yeah,
Then the hotels there are condo hotels and condo and hotels nearby, but you still have to walk to the MOA. It's
yeah,
possible, yes, but you've got to control so many things. The biggest worry there would be the hotel where they're staying. Can you book the entire hotel exclusively just for them? And can you require everybody, including the employees of the hotel, you just stay there and do not leave? Then you have to walk over to the MOA arena, and anything can happen. Well, of course, they'll probably take a bus or a car. But yes, that is possible. But again, the logistics, it'll be a logistical nightmare. But in a way, I pray that it's possible. The key there, I think, there would be the hotel. Can everybody there stay in a bubble type setup, then walk over to the MOA arena and stay bubble, quote unquote, stay bubble all the way?
the events that you mentioned earlier, the Chooks to Go and boxing, this will be fanless, right? There
Definitely
will be no
fanless.
audience.
No audience, no
So this
audience.
will be televised.
Televised, Facebook Live and televised on TV.
Okay. So these two particular sports that you mentioned, basketball and boxing, are they going to tie up with national media outfits? Is it just going to be on Facebook? And what's the business model like? I imagine this to be sponsorship, right? Because there's going to be
Yes.
no tickets for sale, or are they going to make it like a pay-per-view kind of thing?
Well, for Chooks to Go 3x3, they've always been partnering with TV5, okay,
Okay.
ESPN 5 since last year, and I believe it's the same partnership will maintain rather now the teams themselves, okay, are their own sponsors. So the
Okay.
team owners take care of themselves and their
Okay.
expenses, and they get
Okay.
that media mileage as they play in the league.
Okay.
Chooks to Go, the operations us will run the operations,
Okay.
and that's where the cost comes in. But being the sports lover that he is, Ronald Bascarinas goes all out. No,
Mhm.
he goes all out. I forgot to mention, by the way, Ronald Bascarinas donated 5,000 pieces of Bounty Fresh chicken to all
Mhm.
Sasafi coaches and officials
Wow.
in this time of pandemic, and we are very so thankful for that. So if he can donate 5,000 pieces of dressed chicken for the Sasafi, the 3x3 league is nothing to him. All he does is organize it. Advertising is there. They themselves are the sponsors, no? Chooks to go plus the 12 teams who are playing. And it's a professional league. Of course, there will be no ticket sales, but remember, the Chooks to go 3x3 leg never had ticket sales because last year they played in malls.
Mhm.
They went to malls and private clubs. They never held it in a place where they sold tickets. So that was the model right there for the business model. The tough part will be boxing. The key here now is how to get sponsors. Again, you don't have ticket sales, how to get sponsors to come in and help the production, and how to get a media partner not to help out in the media platform. I think that will be a challenge right now because number one, they've never had it before. Number two, boxing per se is not very, shall we say, a very saleable item on TV for one reason or another. The only boxing fights that will sell on TV are the bouts of Manny Pacquiao, Nonito Donaire, Jerwin Ancajas to a certain extent, Donnie Nietes to a certain extent, but that's about it. If you're just staging local boxing shows, sponsors are very, 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 so how do I say it? They're very shy to
So how about
they're not,
pay-per-view na lang? Like we just pay to watch a certain amount.
well, yeah, they can always do that. But like I said, is there a market for boxing at the lower level? That's always the biggest concern. Uh, will people pay to watch the low level type, the lowest level of
I hear
boxing?
stories about gambling, online betting, because I think that's going to be the X factor in making sports work again. You know, profits will be definitely down because I think sponsors, like you said, are kind of shy. You know, not even just in the lower levels, even in the higher levels of sports. So they're you know they're kind of shy, and there's no more audience that'll give you ticket sales, and people are you know they're probably very hesitant to go out if they ever they do. So they're saying that gambling or betting, online sports betting, will allow sports to flourish because that's the missing piece that we didn't have before the pandemic. What are your thoughts on that, Rico?
Well,
Online betting.
having said that, the online betting, I'd like to say, never disappeared. No, even pre-pandemic, online
Yeah.
betting was taking place already. And yes, that is true. But the common sentiment of organizers is that how do we get a share, a piece of the share of all the money that takes place in online betting? Because hardly any of it reaches the organizers, or at least, I mean, I don't know what the term is. Do I get royalties because you
Hmm.
bet on our league? Because the people who make money on online betting are just the online betting operators themselves.
Yeah, but what if we make it, first of all, legal, and number two, make it public, and
Yeah, well,
and then you have an, the for example, the boxing event has an agreement with I don't know, with Pancor or whoever's in charge of the betting, and then we you talk about a straight out fee or is that even being talked about or kita rin gusto na sorry.
not at all.
Uh,
I've heard. I was actually part of talks before
uh,
of the proposal. This is Waterfront. Remember when boxing was really a big hit at Waterfront?
yeah.
Even the Pagcor people then were talking about, can we do a Vegas style betting operations at the waterfront?
Yeah.
But that didn't prosper because of some legality. Because the big idea in Vegas is you go to Vegas to gamble,
Mm.
okay, you book a bet, and part of the proceeds of the bet goes to the promoter. It's like a
Correct.
TV
Yeah.
rights. It's like a TV rights thing.
Yeah.
Now, in order to broadcast your boxing event,
Yeah. Mm.
ABS-CBN or GMA or TV5 will give you TV rights, and that's the idea. The online betting people or online betting owners will give quote unquote rights fees to the organizer. But that hasn't taken. I've heard about it, but I don't know how far it's gone in terms of uh, getting closer to actual reality.
This meeting of yours was pre Corona, right?
Well, way back. Pinoy Pride days
So
pa.
do you
Yes.
hear stories about this conversation restarting or no? In the
No, no,
Philippines,
no,
at least.
not at all. Not at all. That hasn't been discussed anymore for the betting part.
Um, you mentioned that a lot of the coaches, a lot of the athletes, a lot of the players are pivoting online and they're selling and all that stuff. But I imagine especially the coaches, they're probably doing something online as well, right? Because I see a lot of digital posters on Facebook when I scroll up or scroll down. These coaches and these these people teaching online. Tell us about the teaching online scene now.
Very, very good that you bring it up. Two things happening. Firstly, because of the pandemic, we are now seeing an overload of two things. Number one, webinars for sports, all for free. So we now have coaches and we encourage them to attend the webinars being provided by all sorts of providers.
Mhm.
Everybody from the FIBA to Coach Chot Reyes to even Tam Baldwin and all that. They are guest lecturers at webinars that coaches can attend for free. So one thing this pandemic has done to help the coaches is the coaches now are more learned. They've learned more about the game, and I'm sure they're bringing it all in, no? So that when things go back to normal, they'll be better coaches. They're better equipped and all for free. That's why we're telling them avalanche of webinars that you can attend. Just click and it's for free. Now the other part about it, coaches can also conduct online clinics themselves for kids for a fee. Now that's tough. It's kind of tough, but then now this is where you have to sell your market, your product. You sell your product. I do basics online and make sure you deliver the quality. Now this is the tough part because teaching a clinic in an actual gym is really totally different from teaching online. And it's also
Absolutely.
totally different from a practice session of a team. Why? Because the coaches in a team, the coaches and the players have that relationship already. Now, for online clinics, you don't even know your students personally. So you've got to know them personally. You've got to get their confidence and their trust to make it work. So that's the tough part. But I've seen a number of online clinics start already, both Manila and here. Coach Brito Roma, a Cebuano, he actually started an online basketball clinic, or OBC. I heard he's doing relatively well, charging a fee. And I've seen some others also handle one-on-one type sessions. So they do one-on-one sessions online, a coach and a student. So things they've done all sorts. Again, the coaches are being creative, they're being innovative to tackle that because that's also income for them. And now remember, they talk about payment. Payment, they're going technology as well. They're doing online payment as well. I heard the coach tell me for the first time, wow, I received my payment via GCash or something like that. But he was so happy about it. At least there was distancing and there's no physical touch. But I hope it clicks well also for the sake of the coaches, of course.
Rico, what is your message to all the athletic directors and the different schools? What is your message to all the coaches, all the athletes, not just in schools, but all the athletes who are watching this interview right now? Maybe you have something to tell them about what they're going to do these next couple of months.
Well, the pandemic has hit us hard, and that's a fact. First thing we have to do is accept it. Because if we don't accept that the pandemic has happened, then we will not know what to do. After accepting it, then we get to make the pivots that we talked about. We make adjustments, and this is where creativity, resourcefulness, being innovative comes in right now. They've got to do something and not do nothing. And this is where actually there's a supermarket of ideas that come in, whether they go into selling, whether they go into online selling, or rather online clinics, online selling. Then they get to refresh themselves through a lot of these webinars online that are for free. So they've got to make themselves relevant these days. They've got to study their game and they've got to keep sharp. And like you said, they've got to stay fit as well. If they stay fit and everything comes back to whatever, I mean, to the new normal and the vaccine is here, they'll actually be in better shape when things resume. Now, those who did nothing, I'm afraid will not be in good shape at all when things resume. So we're pushing all our coaches, of course, stay strong, stay relevant, okay, stay fit, and make sure you're active these days, no? So that when all things go back, no, to normal, you'll be ready, no, for the new world.
Nothing says that we are winning the war against COVID-19 than a sporting event being played, maybe in the school level, in the collegiate level, even in the professional level. I think it is a sign, it is a clue that things are going our way. And I think holding sporting events is a crucial symbol of a comeback that we all want. And I think sports can do that for all of us. Rico, thank you so much for doing this. Rico Navarro, of course, is the athletic director of Ateneo de Cebu. He also writes for the Freeman Bleacher Report. He's also involved in a lot of sports organizations here in Cebu. Where can they catch you, Rico? Why don't you tell them where they can catch you on the social media platforms?
Well, Bleacher Talk, of course, comes out every Sunday in the Freeman. That's philstar.com, then you go over to Freeman. And I also write for pinoyliga.com. So that's a national website with a lot of news. It's primarily basketball, but we've opened up the news already to a lot of different things. Then later on, we'll be getting on some shows as well at the MYBL Cebu Facebook page, and also at the Best Center Cebu or Best Center Sports Facebook pages. There will be webcasts, talk shows, and clinics now in both, whether it be the Best Center Cebu or Best Center Sports Incorporated Facebook page or that of the MYBL Cebu. So we're looking forward to that. Excited about that too.
Okay, thank you so much, Rico Navarro. You stay safe, sir.
Thank you, Jig. Nice seeing you again. Thank you for having me.